Good morning, everyone. My name is Mary Sullivan. I'm a licensed clinical therapist in 2 different states, and I have been providing healing services to veterans for uh, over 10 years. Um, I worked as Director of Psychological Health for the Minnesota National Guard, and then I worked with Wounded Warrior Project, and then with Melwood Veteran Services. Um, I started a nonprofit called The Way Forward, and the goal of that nonprofit is to provide healing services to our nation's veterans and their families who are experiencing symptoms of stress as a result of their military service. Um, when the coronavirus pandemic hit, I wanted to expand that mission into something that the general population could benefit from, because I think we're all going through some tough times right now. And I really want to be someone who can help in whatever way I'm good at, and this is it. So I want to do 3 things today. I want to introduce myself a little bit more. I want to introduce our group even more, and then I want to introduce the topic that I am most familiar and comfortable with, and that is a passion for me, and that's positive psychology. I'm a recovering alcoholic. Um, I've been in recovery for some time, and the amazing people that I met that helped me through that, the counselors, the therapists, all kinds of people, fellow addicts, as much as anything, have taught me a lot, have gotten me to where I am, and also inspired me to try to give back. My work with the Minnesota National Guard was my first introduction to working with military, and it's been a privilege and an honor to serve in any way that I can. People who were willing to lay their lives on the line for me and for others like me. During that, in working with Melwood Veteran Services, I got to meet Jess and I got to meet Hermione, and those are 2 of the other women who are now part of our Facebook page, The Way Forward. Um, Jess has done a lot of things. One of her areas of expertise has really become EFT or tapping, and although I may have introduced it to her, and she'll tell you that story if she hasn't already, she has taken that to a whole new level, and it's become such a huge part of what we have done at Melwood. And I'd like to be able to encourage each of you to continue watching when she does that, and if you haven't seen her video, to try to figure out how to go back into the Facebook page and go ahead and watch it, because it truly is amazing. Hermione is a yoga instructor and so much more. She doesn't just teach yoga, not that that's a small thing in and of itself, but there's a whole component to breathing, to it's our spiritual self really that connects us to our physical self, and Hermione is magic, just like her namesake, the Harry Potter books. So I encourage you also to go back and find out what Hermione has got to say, and continue to pay attention in the future to what's coming up for you. Um, as you can plainly see, I am not an actor, and so I've got these awkward pauses and all that kind of stuff. I'm hoping that you will give us space and grace, and that's something that you'll hear me say a lot, because that's important to me. Space and grace just means I'm a human being, and give me the space to do that, and hopefully have the grace to see it through. So Jennifer and Sierra are our human relations resources persons, human resources specialists, however is said these days. Jennifer currently works in human resources at the University of Wisconsin. She's had a lot of years in various aspects of human resources, and she'll tell you that in the introduction. You can also read it on the Facebook page. My hope for you is that if work is an issue for you in any way, you can tune into her topics and get some support, get some help, and expert information on what you can do and what's available for you and what other people are doing. Sierra is our stay-at-home mom at this point in time. She has an extensive background in early childhood education. She's also worked directly with autistic children, and she also has a background in human resources. And she's going to be able to talk a lot about the new normal, which is suddenly finding yourself staying home with your children if that's not something you've been doing. Or if you have been doing it, circumstances have certainly changed and you're much more cautious about taking your children out into public places. And she is extremely good at talking about how to deal with some of those issues. So that's our group. That's who we are. The purpose of this group, really want to go back and talk a little bit about Hermione, where she talked about intentions versus goals. The goal for me is to be able to support um, in any way we can in this Facebook page by setting up topics that each of us will address, one per day for 5 days of the week. That gives us the weekend to relax and be with our families and take care of ourselves. Self-care is important. The goal will be for those of you who are interested and can tap in, and please invite your friends, please invite anybody that you think may be interested to become part of this. I think this has the potential to expand our horizons as well as yours in terms of being able to get social settings in a brand new way that are hugely important to get us through these times. So we're going to be doing the topics. Another goal is to be able to set up a separate sessions, if you will, through Zoom. If enough people want a specific topic, for example, I know that one of the things that I'll be doing is talking about positive psychology, and if enough people want to get more of that information, we can set up a weekly Zoom session. It's not group therapy, so I don't want anybody thinking that we're going to be, digging into your issues, which I hate the word anyway. But it's a way for us to get information, get new tools, find out what other people are doing, and work through this. It's called psychoeducation, perhaps. That might be the best way to talk about it. But that's the goal. And to be able to Zoom each of our specialties, maybe once a week. It's going to depend on the response that we get and how you all want to do that. But group sessions outside of our Facebook page where you can be part of it, you'll log into a Zoom website that will give you permission or give you stuff, the stuff that you need to get into it, and it'll be as close to face as we can get in this pandemic crisis that we're going through right now. So those are our goals. Our intentions are to support you in the best ways that we can with our areas of expertise. Our intentions are to give you new information, to give you new tools, and I think one of the overarching intentions is for us to be able to connect you with other people so that this isolation doesn't become problematic in and of itself. So that's our intentions. My third thing today is to introduce the topic of positive psychology, because I'll be talking a lot about that. And I want to talk a little bit about how that will go. I will be talking about a different aspect of positive psychology every Monday. That's the day that I sort of chose to be my day, and that's how come I'm doing this video right here, right now. I would like to do a video. It's possible that I might be able to do a better job writing. I'm not clear yet, but I wanted to take this opportunity to have you all see me, get a feel for who I am and how this is going to go forward in my mind today. Again, space and grace. It could change along the way as we begin to see better uses, different uses for what we are able to provide to you as our viewers. So positive psychology, talk a little bit about how it's different. Traditional psychology and traditional therapies is if I am experiencing an issue, I go see a therapist, I go sit down and the therapist says, let's talk about your issues, and frequently takes a look at how those issues may have started in my childhood. I'm not downplaying that. It has its place for people. I don't do that anymore as a rule. That's not that I never do, but for me, what I have discovered is that each and every one of you listening to this right here, right now, has gotten to where you are because you've got strengths. And if we start focusing on those strengths, a lot of times what you'll find is that the things that you thought were your issues really get minimized and leave you a clearer path to peace. And that's our intention, is to do that, is for me at least, that's my intention, is to find my path to peace on a daily basis. And I don't do that by looking at what's wrong with me and trying to figure out, my issues. So when an emotion comes up, and let's use the word trigger because it's pretty common in today's jargon, let's use it. Something triggers me and I fly off the handle, for example. I could spend some time figuring out why I flew off the handle. Or I could simply say, I recognize that there was something in that situation that triggered me. And then I start asking the questions. Okay, what are some tools that I can use to get back to that peaceful place? That's my intention. That's positive psychology. Using the tools, using the strengths to go through what you're going through. I don't need to delve into it. I don't need to say what happened in my past that I am so short-tempered. It's not about the red hair. Actually, that's fake. I just do that to warn the world, right? Um, I need to focus on what's my next step. Okay? Did something happen that I need to address? Did something happen that I need to say something to somebody? I find myself frequently saying to people that I'm close to, can you change your tone of voice? It's kind of uncomfortable for me. Okay? That's positive psychology. I'm not blaming that person for how they spoke to me. It's my responsibility to interpret people's tones of voice or to do something with that that's more comfortable. So positive psychology is really kind of taking a look at what is real right here, right now, and what do I want to do about that. It's not about sticking my head in the sand and pretending everything is fine, everything is wonderful, let's just smile and be happy. That's not positive psychology. In fact, it has nothing to do with any kind of real psychology that I'm aware of. I know that some people have interpreted that to mean that, but please trust me when I tell you that is not what positive psychology is. Positive psychology really is the science of looking at what are the strengths that got you through some tough times and how do you build on them. And so that's what we'll be talking about, and that's something that I have found can help people in ways that they're maybe unfamiliar with. So that's hopefully what you'll all be tuning into as we move along on our way forward. Thanks for tuning in.